Thank you, Kia. Okay, so we were talking about this a couple minutes ago, whether or not divulging every detail to your partner makes for a healthier union. So we're calling in an expert, and she's going to explain if oversharing can actually hurt your bond. This is relationship expert Janie Lacey, who's joining us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Holly.
All right. Is it ever a bad thing to overshare with your partner? Should there some things in your relationship you should just keep secret?
Well, there's a difference between keeping a secret and lying. But sometimes we'll hear in couples counseling where she's always talking about her ex-boyfriend, or she's always talking about something that happened before the relationship. So when it gets into that area, you want to be careful. Does he really need to know you've ate at this restaurant with your ex-boyfriend, or you've had sexual encounters in these areas? I mean, because those are things that can actually harm the relationship than bring any type of benefit.
Yeah, because I would say don't bring up the exes, don't bring up past hookups, because the other person's always going to be comparing himself or herself to the ex. So past hookups, maybe just don't shed light on that.
Your partner, your person that you're dating, needs to know how many sexual partners you've been with, but they don't need to know all the details. I tend to think of it as more of an outline approach, because if they don't know how many people you've been with and they're thinking 20 and then later on they're finding out 200, there's a big difference there.
Okay, let's talk about money. Should you have to explain your spending habits to your partner?
Well, if you're dating in a dating relationship, I wouldn't say it's not necessary to go through all your spending habits. But obviously, if you're in a marriage relationship, then your husband or wife does need to know how you're spending, because it's going to affect the household. But early on, I don't think it's necessarily that it's that relevant to the relationship.
That's what I say. I don't need to justify what I'm spending my money on. Okay, let's talk about family, because people get very protective of their loved ones. What if you meet your boyfriend's parents and you go, ugh, should you tell them or no?
Well, you want to be careful, because especially if this is a future marriage partner, you're essentially marrying their family. So you do want to take a close look at the family that your boyfriend is in, but you want to be careful not to badmouth them, because after all, that is their family and their loyalty is probably going to be with them more than you, especially if the relationship is in the early stage.
Okay, real quickly, innocent flirtations. If you get hit on, do you have to tell your partner?
I don't think it's necessary that you go into all the details. This person said this to me, because is it your intention to tell them to get them jealous, or do you just feel like you want to tell them everything? But you do want to tell them when things are crossing the line a little bit. If someone's innocently flirting with you, that's going to happen, especially out in the workplace when there's opposite sex working next to each other. So I would shy away from going into all those details.
Proceed with caution is what I always say.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so earlier we were talking about the fact that the CDC just came out with a study saying, hey, couples that shack up before they get married doesn't mean that they won't eventually get married, and it doesn't mean that they're going to divorce later on if they do get married. What are your thoughts? Do you advise that people live with a partner before they get married, or avoid it?
Well, every situation is unique, so I think it's a matter of looking at every situation. Why would we want to live together before we actually are married, and exactly how committed are we? Or is there some testing of the relationship? Well, some people would want to live together to figure out how the relationship is before they're married. So I would look at what is our intentions in living together, if there's other reasons financially and things like that. But okay, you're exactly right. It doesn't necessarily mean that your relationship isn't going to last.
Good advice, Janie, as always. Thanks so much for joining us today. And for more information about Janie, you can head on over to our website, dailybuzznow.com. Also, while you're there, if you ever have a relationship question for Janie, email us.